Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Jonathan Voico.
Welcome back, everyone.
But most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you guys are watching this show live right now, you want to get into a thought, theory, opinion, or question for us to address, as long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And here's the good news about the tip link. It's good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you're listening to our podcast on our podcast feed, either on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any of your favorite podcasting app of choice, or if you're watching this video a little bit later in the day, you can still use the tip link and send it on in, and we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right, guys, listen. Before we get started, have an announcement to make. It is that time of the year again. It is time for our annual Adopt a Family project. You guys know every year, Ann and I, for the last 12 years, Ann and I participated in our local Adopt a Family program. Most municipalities have it. I encourage everybody, if you live in a town, call your local city hall, ask if they have an Adopt a Family program and sign up. Basically, it's this. Families in need get matched up with people like us and like you to help provide their kids with a Christmas that maybe they wouldn't normally get. And for the last few years, Ann and I have been inviting you guys to join us. And what you guys have done in the lives of families in need around Christmas time has been absolutely phenomenal, has just been incredible. So this year, we got matched up through the city agency with a family with a mom and 3 kids, ages 3, 11, and 15. The mom was employed, lost her job because her industry went down the tubes, and now she's going to try to go back to school to get into a new field and all that kind of stuff, and just isn't in a position to give her children the Christmas they deserve. And you and I are not going to let that happen. We are going to do something about that. So what can you do? Well, here's what we do every year. Ann and I have set up a Amazon wish list that you can see here. Now, if you look down to the description of this video, Ray, we got the link in there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you look down in the description of this video, you'll find a link to the Amazon wish list. And you can see we got things like she said her kids love to read. So we put in some gift cards for Barnes & Noble. You guys can buy those. Also, we really need just Amazon gift cards because that'll help them buy anything that they need. So we got those listed, but then we got specific things like a table and chair, backpacks, some women's clothes, both for the mom and for the teenage daughter. Then we got like a whole bunch of games, shoes, t-shirts, like basic things like that, right? Some games, all that kind of wonderful stuff. I've already bought a couple of iPads for the kids as well so they can read, and some Kindles so they can read stuff like that. But then there's a whole bunch of stuff on here for you guys to contribute as well. So we are asking that if you guys would take a minute, doesn't have to be right now, maybe sometime later today or whatever, jump on over to that Amazon link. And when you purchase it, it will automatically get delivered to us. Then Ann and her mom will box it all up and wrap it. And then we will have a big delivery day sometime in the next couple of weeks where we take everything over to the family. So if anything you guys can do to help out would be awesome. The link is there. And thank you as always. We'll remind you guys about it for the next couple of days as well. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into some stuff here, shall we? We're going to start with this. I ain't going to lie. You know what one movie that I'm still pretty excited to see this year is? Kraven. I don't care. I know. I know Madam Web was a bag of crap. I know Morbius was a bag of crap. I know I didn't like Venom 3. I like the other 2 Venoms. I didn't like Venom 3. But I have hope. As naive as it may be, I have hope in Kraven. Because you got Ricky Tikki leading the way.
Uh-huh.
What's his name again?
Aaron Taylor
Johnson.
Ricky Tikki.
Ricky Tikki, who I love him in just about everything he does. Unlike Morbius and Madam Web, they actually have a solid director and a solid writer. So that gives me more hope. I like the previews they showed us at CinemaCon, but make no mistake about it, I might be the only person in the world who's kind of excited to see it because the projections for Kraven are horrible. They're saying it could make as low as like 20 million opening weekend. And a $100 million plus budget movie ain't good. Like, I'm not a mathematician, but I understand that that's bad. That's not good. So in response to this, you know, Sony's like, listen, we got to get people interested in this film. So they've done, which quite frankly, a number of films have done in the last couple of years. We'll get to that in a second. But Kraven, Sony today dropped the first 8 minutes of Kraven the Hunter online. They dropped it on YouTube as a big promo, and it's just exactly what it says. It's the first 8 minutes. You know what? I thought it was pretty good.
Wasn't bad.
The three of us sat down and watched it about 10 minutes ago.
I was not offended.
I was not offended.
Yeah.
That's the quote you put on the poster. I was not offended by this thing. So I sat down and I watched it with the guys. And is it like the opening of X-Men 2 with Nightcrawler attacking the White House? No. Is it like Deadpool 3 with the big... What is that? Is it an NSYNC song? Is that what Bye 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 is? I don't know. I don't know the difference between any of those boy bands.
NSYNC, I believe.
Okay. Bye, like, is it that? No, it's not. But it gives you a little bit of a taste of its tone, of the violence in it. Because if I didn't have on my bingo card today watching a thing where a guy literally takes the tooth from a saber-toothed tiger and jabs it graphically into the neck of another human being. I didn't have that on my, personal bingo list, but it happened. I thought it was pretty good. I'm not jumping up and down about it, but I thought it was all right. I thought it was pretty good. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people thinking it makes them sound cool are jumping online and saying something that quite frankly is true. That, man, Sony must be desperate. Sony must be desperate if they're releasing some footage online. And let's call it what it is. Sony is desperate. They saw the projection numbers. They know nobody's planning, other than this idiot, nobody is planning on going to seeing Kraven the Hunter. They might get tricked into it, but not a lot of people are planning on going to see it. If the box office projections are to be believed, which is pretty low. But
how do you trick someone into going to a movie? You sit down, you're like, this is the Nosferatu, right? They're like, yeah.
I say, hey, Ray, advanced screening of Sonic 3. You want to come? Advanced screening, sure. And that could get them out.
The problem with Kraven, I think and why they did that was because it's going to be thrown in the mix of all these big movies that are already out or coming out at the same time. It's going to get lost. I just think this is a way for them to say, hey, don't forget, our film is coming up too.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing, though, that we can say that we've learned the last couple of years is that in the Christmas season, there's a lot of business to go around, right? That's why more and more big movies are getting released in the Christmas season.
And also, like, in terms of whether this got me excited for the film or whether it didn't change anything. At least
more interested in it.
It did its job.
Right? So that's all they're going for, right? They're just trying to get people a little bit more interested in it. Now, again, in response to like everybody saying, wow, this is just a sign that Sony's desperate. Well, of course Sony's desperate. I mean, they saw the tracking numbers. They're desperate. But I just want to remind everybody, let's not pretend that releasing the first 5 minutes or releasing the first 10 minutes or releasing the first 7 minutes, like, this is some brand new thing. This has become something that more and more I'm not going to say it's regular, but it does happen. It's happened a bunch.
I'm pretty sure one of the biggest movies in history, Avatar 2, did the same thing.
Yeah, that's right. I remember they advanced like a 5 minute something or other. And remember
the scene with the
first
whale.
Frozen.
Yeah.
Right.
The first Frozen, they released before the movie ever came out, the full 3.5 minute Let It Go music number. Remember that? They actually put that out and released it out to the world. So, I mean, is Sony desperate? Yes. But is this some brand new thing that nobody else does? No, this is becoming kind of a more less rare part of movie marketing.
And I don't know if it was the Russian speaking, but didn't this kind of feel like it feels like a John Wick movie, like John Wick of the jungle.
It's like John Wick of the jungle. John Wick of the jungle.
No. For real, even though
Yeah.
he didn't use any
I
blasters in the scene,
I agree.
It felt like this guy could take on.
It was like John
anybody.
Wick
Well, yeah,
with superpowers.
or it also felt like, what were you saying? You said if Jonathan, you said
Oh, the opening scene had like some Indiana Jones-esque
yes,
opening
it
to
had a
it.
little bit of an Indiana Jones,
Even
feel,
the way it kind of ended.
a little Mission Impossible
Uh-huh.
feel, maybe even a little bit of a Batman kind of movie beginning,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah, he seems like the.
I mean, again, like, look, do I have any indication whether this will be a good movie or not? No, I'm not saying that. But damn it, that's all I'm gonna have in my head now for the rest of the day. Ba ba ba
It's
ba
gonna go
Yaga.
Unfortunately, it might go
Coming in
down
your
as Venom,
sleep.
like another Venom, where even if it's a good movie, it might not make. I mean, not like Venom, but it might be a good movie that
Well,
everyone.
Yeah, I hope so. But it ain't gonna make anywhere near like Venom.
No. It's
Venom
not.
3 is very quietly like gotten close
Kinda
to 450
creeping up.
million dollars.
Yeah, if this thing makes 400, they're happy.
Oh, listen,
They're popping bottles.
I will be surprised.
Yeah.
Regardless of how good the movie is. I will be surprised if it makes 300 million.
Oh.
Yeah, seriously. Like
I think
I don't expect it to crack 300 million.
I think it surprises. It makes a little bit more than what people are projecting.
I don't know. People are projecting pretty low.
I know, but I mean, it makes a little bit more. You remember when Venom came out? We were surprised that it got that much money. Like, we're like, whoa. I knew the movie. I liked the movie, but I didn't think it was going to make that much.
Yeah.
I think it might do the same thing.
I mean, so we'll see. I mean, Luis in the live chat is asking, will it make more or less than Black Adam? Well, Black Adam made about 400. I don't think it's going to make 400. I don't think.
Then-
I'm not even sure it's going to hit 300
The
million.
nice thing, though, is that the weekend it opens, it's only going up against Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim. Other than that, it's just some other, like, more independent,
Well,
limited
but
release
don't
films.
forget, Wicked is still going to be in theaters.
Yeah.
Moana 2 is still going to be in theaters. I mean, Grant, they'll be on weeks 3 and 4 and 5 by that point, but
And this is the longest movie of all the Spider-Verse films. Like, right?
which is still not that long. I mean,
Right.
it's still not a terribly long movie, but I don't know. Listen, I don't care what anybody else says. I've got some belief in it. I mean, as bad as Kraven, or not as Kraven, as bad as Morbius and Madam Web were, that all stems from them literally hiring the 2 worst writers in the history of Hollywood and not having great directors involved either. This, they got a pretty solid director. They got solid writers on this. I mean, Aaron Taylor Johnson isn't hurting for work. He can be picky about the roles he takes. So I ain't saying the movie's going to be good. I'm just saying I have some faith that it could be.
$1 billion movie, baby.
$1 billion coming down the pipe. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about Sony releasing the first 8 minutes? Listen, I think Ray is right. I think we may mock it saying Sony, this is a sign Sony's desperate, maybe, but I think it did its job. I think this is going to get a lot more people at least curious about seeing the movie. Enough to have a big opening weekend? Oh, hell no. But probably bigger than it would have had. I don't know. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Today is game day.
Game day.
Star Wars Skeleton Crew is coming out. And listen, I haven't been this excited for a new Star Wars show in a while. I mean, I was pretty stoked for Acolyte. Look how that turned out. I was pretty excited for Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Look how that turned out. I even got, because of the trailers, I even got excited for Ahsoka. Look how that turned out. Anyway, but I am legitimately excited for Star Wars Skeleton Crew. And today, the first 2 episodes drop. A little bit later this evening, it's finally here. It's coming out. And, one of the big reasons why I'm excited about it is because of who is running the show. John Watts, the guy who directed Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, and Spider-Man No Way Home. And he also did a really good job with that Brad Pitt, George Clooney movie, Wolves.
Yeah.
He did a really good job on that. And this is the guy, not to mention Academy Award-winning best directors at the Oscar, the Daniels, who directed Everything Everywhere All at Once. They're directing an episode. Bryce Dallas Howard is directing an episode. Again, all being showrun by John Watt. I think there's a lot of reason to be excited. The trailers have been great. It really gives us that Goonies, 80s Amblin feeling. I think it's all felt fantastic. Well, in the UK, lucky bastards, they did a special advanced fan screening where a whole bunch of fans Even a couple of critics got to go, not many, but they did a fan screening of it, and the first reactions from the audience are now coming out, and they're pretty damn good. This comes to us from the folks over at Comic Book Movie, who listed off a bunch of people, reactions they got on social media. Gentleman by the name of Phil Roberts wrote, John Watts' Skeleton Crew is a blast. The series effortlessly captures the spirit of the Goonies to deliver a fun, kid-centric Star Wars adventure. It's an energetic, fun story that expands the sandbox with its light-hearted tone, great score, great performances, solid start. I should mention, they showed the first 2 episodes.
Okay.
Not the whole series, but the first 2 episodes. All right. Thomas wrote, first 2 episodes of Skeleton Crew are a lot of fun. This series brings a refreshing perspective by expanding the Star Wars universe in exciting new ways. It's a love letter to children's adventure films from the 80s. Mark writes, couldn't be happier with what I've seen of Star Wars Skeleton's Crew so far. Energetic, snappy, warm, genuinely funny, pacey, engaging. I really enjoyed it. GFFA, not sure that is. Fans will quickly embrace it, and a perfect jumping on point for new fans, so it's a win-win. Nicola writes, the first 2 episodes of Skeleton Crew are so much fun. Think 80s Amblin adventure vibes with a sprinkle of early Mando. The first episode admittedly takes a while to kick into gear, though. I would genuinely do anything for Neil. What an absolute cutie. Let's see. Coincidentally, Neil writes, the first 2 episodes of Skeleton Crew recapture the magic of 80s Amblin movies. It's the franchise at its most family-friendly, embracing its silliness alongside a wondrous sense of adventure. A brilliant Star Wars introduction for any younglings in the audience. Brandon wrote, we can tweet about Skeleton Crew? Nice, to have some sense of wonder in the Star Wars universe. Having kids be the center of this, probably what he meant, helps greatly. Kieran writes, saw the first 2 episodes of Star Wars Skeleton Crew early thanks to Disney Plus UK, and it did not disappoint. A surprising opening, a wonderful cast, and an intriguing hook for the rest of the series. Can't wait for more. Chris Connor writes, okay, thought Skeleton Crew was pretty solid. Great score, and looking forward to seeing more of Jude Law. Likeable ensemble and a refreshing family-friendly series, which really suits the release window. Review to follow. And Mark Newbold, this is the last one we'll read here, says, couldn't be happier with what I've seen in Star Wars so far. And they actually had this one already. Anyway, so a little mix in of a couple of critics who were there, but also some average fans. And I got emailed from some of our UK viewers last night that said they knew people who went to it and said everybody loved it. So now, here's the caution flag. All right, let's be honest here. They showed these folks the first 2 episodes. You know what almost all Star Wars shows do well?
The first 2 episodes.
First 2 episodes. They almost all start well. I loved the first couple of episodes, at least the first episode of Obi-Wan. I was on board through the first 2 episodes of even Acolyte. I thought Ahsoka had a pretty good start.
Mm-hmm.
Mandalorian obviously started great, and that went on to great. But, I mean, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Acolyte.
Obi-Wan's first episode, I mean,
I was really on board with
such a promise of greatness. Like, that was to me on par with Andor, the way it started.
Yeah.
But
I mean, so like Star Wars shows start strong. Okay. It sounds like Skeleton Crew starts strong. Great. Unfortunately, not all of them, but a lot of the Star Wars series start strong and then go right to the crapper. So is it good news that audiences seem to like the first 2 episodes?
Yeah.
Yes, that's good.
these are also the ones that are eager to see it.
Yeah.
That are, you know.
But then again, I was eager to see Acolyte too. and I'm like,
you were eager to see Rings of Power, and you saw that in theaters.
oh yeah, I went to go see the first 2 episodes of Rings of Power, and I almost tapped out of the show.
Yeah.
Right there. So, I mean, sometimes getting the most excited people can be a double-edged sword, because those are the people that can be most prone to be disappointed. But okay, so they start strong. Great. The real question is going to come. We're going to get the first 2 episodes tonight. The real test starts coming next week. And then the week after that, once we get into episodes 3 and 4 and 5. So it sounds like they're off to a good start. Great. I'm happy to hear it. I'm super excited. I can't wait to sit down and watch this tonight.
And we're getting the first 2 episodes?
First 2 episodes tonight.
Okay.
And then I think they drop on Tuesdays from here on out, I think. So tonight's the only time they're dropping on Monday. Then
Yeah.
the rest of them, I believe, are on Tuesdays. But anyway, good to hear. Solid responses are always good. I would just love to talk to somebody who's seen the whole series.
Yeah.
And to see, because is this going to be Andor that, hey, it starts strong and just keeps getting better all the way through? Or is it going to be, Obi-Wan, Acolyte, Ahsoka, a bunch of the other that just started okay and then went down that roller coaster drop?
Do you have a number in your head, a threshold now for how many episodes you'll give a show until you just say no?
4.
4?
Now, there could be exceptions to that. Like, a good example of that. Remember the CW Arrowverse show, Legends of Tomorrow?
Right.
Yeah.
That was a show that to me was always okay. Not good enough that I would be excited to watch the next episode, but just good enough that when the next episode came out, I'd watch it. So that can string me along for a while. But yeah, if you don't have me won over by episode 4, I think that's a good time for me to kind of tap. By the way, as an example, I watched the 3rd episode of Dune Prophecy last night. And while I thought the first episode was okay, and I thought the second episode was pretty good, after the 3rd episode, I'm just going to give it one more. Because they have some really cool story stuff going on, but they're not telling the story well.
Yeah.
And it's not Denis Villeneuve. So I'm getting close to tapping out of Dune Prophecy.
See, that leans into what I was thinking about this, because if you look at the Skeleton Crew directors list, it's not going to be from a lack of talent directors.
Oh, it's all stars, and down, all stars.
And I think the actors are going to be great. It's down to the writing and the story. So, yeah, I mean, if you're going to get through John Watts and David Lowery, you get another Lowery right there in episode 3. That means the Daniels one has to screw the pooch for you to drop out before you even try to go with Jake or Bryce Dallas Howard. So, yeah, that's going to be story driven for you.
Yeah, it has to be, and I hope they crush it. I hope they kill it. Again, I just need to see what they're going to do. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? A bunch of the audience has now seen the first 2 episodes. Of course, they come out tonight, and they're saying they're really enjoying the first couple of episodes of Skeleton Crew. I'm excited to hear that, but that's what Star Wars shows do. They start strong. Can they stay strong? That's always the catch. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. Hey, before we move on to anything, I just got sent this link. Spotify on their Instagram have posted up that they're highlighting their podcasts of the week. And one of those, wait for it, there it is.
Yay!
One of Spotify's podcasts of the week is the John Campea Show.
Nice.
Woohoo! Thank you, Spotify. Anyway, there's that. Thought we'd throw that in there. Okay,
Nice.
Let's move on to some other stuff here, shall we? Let's move on to this. So, Margot Robbie,
Heard of
who,
her.
of course, is an Oscar-level actress. She's been nominated for Oscars. She's a phenomenal performer and, simply male or female, one of the most attractive movie stars in the world. I've met her in person. She's there are people who are so good looking, and she's one of them where you meet them and suddenly your bones feel hollow. I don't know how to express it other than that. She's stunning, right? Well, of course, she came on the scene where she really burst on the scene for the pop culture consciousness was in Wolf of Wall Street. By the way, she had worked with Aaron Cummings before. Remember that? It's her and Aaron Cummings.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron has had dinner with her and her mom and everything. Anyway, so there was that Wolf of Wall Street. That's where really she kind of burst on the scene with everybody. And in that, there was this very gratuitous, well, not gratuitous really, but this really explicit full frontal nudity scene in it, where in a recent interview, Margot Robbie has revealed that Martin Scorsese was like, no, you can just come out in a robe. And it was Margot Robbie said, nah, she's got to come out nude. I got to come out naked in this. This is from an article in Variety saying Margot Robbie says Wolf of Wall Street full frontal nudity was her idea. She turned down Scorsese when he said you can be wearing a robe. Now, this is really interesting. It says this, Scorsese said, this is Margot Robbie talking, maybe you can be wearing a robe if you're not comfortable, but that's not what she would do in that scene. Robbie said of her character in making the choice herself to go full frontal. The whole point is that she's going to come out completely naked. That's the card she's playing right now, she says. Now, if you guys remember the scene in Wolf of Wall Street, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio standing there and and he looks up and she's standing there in the doorway, like full naked, all that kind of stuff. Now, she goes on to talk about, and I'll tell you why this is interesting to me. She goes on to talk about in the interview about how for that character, her physical attributes, her seduction, all that kind of stuff, she says that was her only currency. That was, or she said in that quote, that's her card to play. That's how she can control the situation. So that's what she did. Now, the reason I find this story interesting is because it brings up a topic of conversation that we have a lot around here, which is not, the topic is not naked Margot Robbie. The topic is what constitutes gratuitous, right? You'll hear people talk about gratuitous violence, gratuitous sex, gratuitous nudity. What constitutes gratuitousness and when is it not? And I've always said this, like I love filthy, right? Clearly bring on the filthy. I love filthy in my movies. I really do, but I don't like it when it's gratuitous. By gratuitous, I usually see it and I interpret it as doesn't really need to be there, but you just throw it in just to have it there. Like I love great violence in a movie, but I don't like gratuitous violence. Like I like violence when it's there serving the story and it's trying to do something. It's trying to communicate something to the audience. It's trying to make the audience feel a certain way given the circumstances the characters are in. And then I love it. I think it's great, but I don't like a scene when it's just, oh, we're just going to have this scene where this guy rips off this guy's head. Why? No reason, just to do it. That's gratuitous. I feel the same way about nudity and sex scenes. When you can have a really great graphic sex scene, but that graphic sex scene really communicates the heat, the passion, the obsession, whatever that certain characters have, when it's used right, I consider it artful and I consider it great and I love it in movies. But when it's just there for no reason, then it's like, why is this here? It just kind of makes it feel off. And I think that is illustrated perfectly by what Margot Robbie was talking about here. Like, I don't think Margot Robbie, who was in her early 20s at the time, is thinking, hey, I got a banging body. I just want to show it off. Give me any excuse I can have just to be nude. Like, I don't think that's her mindset. But her mindset was as an actress. And she, like she says to Scorsese, to her, this is the card she has to play. This is her currency right now. And so to Margot Robbie, she says to Scorsese, what this character would do is not walk out in a robe. What my character would do right now, given her mindset and where she is, she would come out banging naked, right? To make Leo drool. That's what the character would do. So to me, this is a great example of the difference between something that's, say, a gratuitous scene. Want a good example of gratuitous, although I'll always be grateful to it? What was that Hugh Jackman movie where he was the hacker?
Oh, yeah,
and Halle Berry was in it.
Oh, my gosh.
Is fish in the title? Something Fisher or King of Fish? Swordfish. Swordfish. Right? Great example of a gratuitous thing. He comes out to talk to Halle Berry, and Halle Berry's holding up a sunscreen and then drops the sunscreen. And she's sitting there with her tits out. Like, don't get me wrong. All men across the planet were very happy about that scene, but it was by definition gratuitous. It didn't need to be there. It didn't serve anything in the story. But what Margot Robbie did was completely a part of the story. And again, that's just something I thought was really interesting when I saw Margot Robbie talk about that, because it really highlights something the way I always think about it. And again, I don't think just think it's true for nudity or sex scenes. By the way, that's one of the hottest shots ever. It's not just true of nudity or sex scenes. I think it's true of like violence and stuff like that too. If it's used the right way, I don't think it's gratuitous at all. And sometimes I get turned off by it when it's used gratuitously, except for the swordfish situation. I'll let that one go. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about that? About Margot Robbie saying, hell no, my character would have done this, so I want to do the scene nude. What do you think about my definition about the difference between gratuitous and non-gratuitous? Do you think it matters? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, we still got a couple things to talk about, especially around the box office, including, hey, if the other day you thought it was pretty busy at the movie theaters, it's because it was the second busiest movie day at the movie theaters in history. We're going to talk about that. And part of that is Moana 2. Smashing some box office records. We're going to talk about that and a few things more. But before we do, we're going to take a couple of seconds here and thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode, our friends at Tile and Public Rec. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Life 360 Tile Trackers. With the holidays right around the corner, it's all about family, fun, and of course, keeping track of everything while traveling or hosting. For me, that's where Life 360's Tile Trackers are an absolute lifesaver. These little things help keep the holiday stress in check. Whether I'm tracking my keys, wallet, or even our luggage when we travel, Tile Trackers make it easy to keep tabs on everything important. Just open the Tile app to ring it when it's nearby, or track down its location on the map if it's a bit farther. I had mentioned this one time I went to a poker tournament in Vegas, and I keep everything, my wallet, my tablet, and stuff like that, in this satchel backpack of mine, and I thought I lost it. I went crazy for hours until I finally realized I had left it in the car. If I had had Tile Tracker, it would have made my life a lot simpler. And here's one of the things I love about Tile. Tile syncs with Life 360, so I can see the location of my family members and all of our tiled items in one spot. So make your holidays a little less stressful and family-proof your season with Life 360's Tile Trackers. Visit tile.com and use the code Campea to get 15% off. That's tile.com. Use the code Campea. Hey guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Public Rec. Guys, we all know finding pants that both look good and feel good has always been a major challenge. Public Rec's Daymaker pants are here to make sure you stay comfy and classy this season. I absolutely love that they feel like your favorite sweats, but they look like tailored pants. They're super stretchy with an elastic waistband, so you can wear them anywhere. The first thing I noticed when I put these pants on was they go on and feel just like my most comfortable pair of sweats, yet they look so good. Another great thing about these pants is, when you order comfortable pants, you only get to pick from like small, medium, or large and extra large sizes, but with Daymaker pants, you get to select the exact width and length that you need. Public Rec not only has the most comfortable pants made, but they have a huge selection of high quality everyday basics, like this beautiful hoodie I was wearing on the show the other day. So stop suffering in regular pants and give the gift of comfort this holiday season. For a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off when you use the code Campea at checkout. That's 20% off with the code Campea at publicrec.com. And listen, after you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the John Campea Show and tell them that we sent you. Say goodbye to pants that put up a fight, because when comfort meets style, you've found Public Rec. And thank you to our friends at Tile and Public Rec for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's talk about this, shall we? So, as I kind of mentioned before the break, if you went to the movie theaters this past Friday and thought, it's pretty busy, that's because, at least according to Google AI, Friday was the second biggest box office day in film history. Let me repeat that. Friday was the second single biggest box office day in box office history. And if you want to put that in context, take a look at this. So the number one box office day in history in the North American box office was in 2019 when Avengers Endgame was out. Its first Saturday, the box office made $129 million. That includes Endgame and all the other movies that were out, but let's face it, it was Endgame.
Right.
Made $129 million. That was the biggest single box office day in North American box office history. Now you can see that in the number 2 position was this Friday with $111 million made in just that one day. And of course, we had Wicked out, Gladiator 2 was still out, and Moana, of course, came out breaking some box office records. We'll talk about those records specifically in just a bit. The number 3 day was Endgame's first Friday. All hail Endgame. That made 110. Number 4 was in 2015 when The Force Awakens came out. And then Avengers Infinity War in 2018 was the 5th biggest single day with $105 million. So the box office was amazing for them. If I remember it right, I think overall the weekend, the Thanksgiving Day weekend last year made like 125 million and this year made like 400 something million.
Crazy.
So huge turnaround for the box office there. By the way, I want to point this out too about Wicked. Check this out. Let's see if I can make this a bit more. Look at Wicked. It only dropped 28.9%.
Jeez.
Against
Guys,
Moana.
Against Moana for a movie that opened over $100 million.
Yeah.
Now, I honestly do not know the answer to this, but if you guys want to do some fact hunting, when is the last time a movie made over $100 million on its opening weekend and then dropped under 30% in its second weekend? I'm sure it's happened. I just can't think of an example of it anywhere off the top of my head. Because when a movie opens to over $100 million, quite normally 50 to 60, sometimes a little bit over 60% of a second weekend drop off is considered normal because so many people have seen it already. This movie opened over $100 million and only dropped less than 30% in its second weekend. Dropped less than 30% on its second weekend. Which is absolutely insane. Any movie dropping less than 30% from week 1 to week 2 is insane, but especially a movie that made over $100 million.
Yeah. These are just going to carry through December, no doubt.
And by the way, look at this too. Gladiator 2 dropped less than 50%. Not nearly as impressive as Wicked, but I mean, it only dropped 44.2%. That's crazy.
Really good, yeah.
All on the same week that Moana 2 opened to record-breaking numbers. And that is why it's the second busiest day or biggest box office day in film history. Second biggest box office day in film history. So good on them. A fabulous showing. We'll talk about Moana 2 here in just a second, but a fabulous showing for Wicked. And by the way, Gladiator 2, which needs to make a lot of money, but it's now made $320 million worldwide.
And has good word of mouth.
And it has decent, I mean, I didn't love it. I enjoyed it. Like I liked it, but I didn't love it myself. But it's got good word of mouth amongst most other people. So, hey, we have been seeing, you know what, ever since a friend of mine texted me earlier, ever since the very early in the year, like the February, March, the big disappointments with Fall Guy 2 or Fall Guy and Furiosa.
Right.
Which then had everybody very early in the year going, oh my God, the movies are dead and blah, 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 blah. Ever since then, this year has, quite frankly, really turned it around. And it's probably going to, whereas a lot of people thought this year was going to end up much lower than last year, it now looks like with the movies coming out now this weekend and, you know, we've got Kraven.
Oh yeah, baby.
But more importantly, we've got Sonic. What else is opening a little bit later in December? I forget. We got Sonic, something else big is opening.
Well, we got,
Mufasa.
Yeah.
Nosferatu. We
Nosferatu.
got.
Oh, I cannot wait for that. But seriously, early in the year, it looked like this year was going to finish way behind
Complete
last year's
Stranger.
box office total. But now it looks like it's going to finish ahead of last year's box office total. So good on them. Good for everybody all the way around. And yeah, guys, if you thought it was pretty busy in the movie theaters this weekend, it wasn't just you. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about all this? About like the staying power and all that kind of stuff with these three movies, the second biggest box office day in history. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. with that down, let's move on to this. You know, we just talked about how this Friday was the second biggest box office day in history. That was because Gladiator had a really impressive second weekend drop off of less than 50%. Wicked had an insane second weekend drop off of less than 30% for a movie that opened over $100 million. I honestly don't know when the last time that happened. But the big one was Moana 2. As Moana 2, over its long holiday weekend, made $225 million. Now, remember, that's not just the weekend. Remember, because it opened a couple of days early.
Since
than
Tuesday,
normal.
really.
So all told, it's $225 million. I think it was 130 something just for the weekend proper. Can you imagine how big its weekend proper would have been if they didn't do those early screenings?
Oh,
It would have cracked the $200 million mark, no problem. But in the process, it set several major records. Now, it says updated movie theaters finally have something to be thankful for. Variety writes this. Disney's Moana 2, I'm going to read this a little bit at length. There's just some really good information in here. Cemented a new Thanksgiving box office record with $225 million over the 5-day holiday frame, obliterating the previous high watermark set by 2019's Frozen 2, which pulled in $125 million, and 2013's Hunger Games: Catching Fire, which pulled in $109. It also stands as the biggest 5-day debut in history, overtaking Universal's 2023 behemoth, the Super Mario Brothers movie, that made $205.6 million in a 5-day opening weekend. The film's first 3-day tally of $139.7 million registers as the best start for Walt Disney Animation, ahead of Frozen 2, which did $130 million. And ticket sales for Moana sequel were higher than Sunday's estimates of $135.5 million over the traditional weekend, $221 million over the 5 days, and far above early projections of $135 to $145. Moana 2, they said, has far surpassed our high expectations this weekend and is a testament to the phenomena that Moana has become. Disney Entertainment co-chairman Alan Bergman said in a statement, "This is a moment to celebrate, and we're thankful to all the moviegoers and fans who have helped make this a record-breaking debut." All right. So, a huge weekend overall for the box office, but specifically for Moana that broke several major box office records. By the way, the movie just opened, I believe, in 10 countries. You know, some movies roll out and they're opening weekends. This is why when we talk about opening weekend, we only talk about the North American opening weekend,
right,
and not worldwide, because like a lot of movies open in 50 countries on the same weekend or 60 countries. One opened in 10. And look at it right now. The movie's already made a Black Adam.
oh,
And it's more than that because there was 13 million, I think, for Tuesday. And right now they're not including the Tuesday.
No, I think the worldwide total does include the Tuesday.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So the worldwide $386 million, and the movie hasn't even been out for a week, and it still has a ton of countries it still has to open in.
wow,
yeah.
And it's already made a Black Adam
unbelievable.
And
just days.
and the audience score over 5,000, it's 87%.
Yeah, and listen, look, I don't think Moana 2 is as good as the first Moana.
Yeah.
I still enjoy it. I still think it's quite a fun little movie. I think kids are going to love it. The music is so much worse than, I mean, the music's fine. It's fine, but it's so much of a lower standard than, say, the music of the first one was. But a great third act. Overall, I think this is a good movie. I enjoyed it. I'm probably going to see it again. Anne went to go see it the other day too, because I had to see it without her. She went to go see it. She enjoyed it. But $386 million. And the movie hasn't even been out for a week, and it still has a lot of countries it still has to open in.
Did you change your mind about the $1 billion thing? Or
I mean, for
Are you
Moana,
more-
if it continues on, I mean, if we see next weekend, it's like a Wicked style, like 40 or 50% drop. It could still get there. If it's like 60, 70%, I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's what's going to be the big question. What's the second weekend drop off, right? If it's around 50, yeah. I think if it's 50% or lower, I think we're talking about Moana being the next $1 billion film.
wow, okay.
Which, I mean, okay, if it does, we're talking about all top 3 of the biggest films of the year are all Disney films.
Animated specifically.
No, Deadpool and Wolverine wasn't.
Oh,
animated.
right. Yeah. Because I'm thinking of Inside Out 2.
Right.
Okay.
So
yeah,
Inside
yeah,
Out 2 is number one.
Yeah.
Deadpool and Wolverine, Moana. We'll see what Mufasa does. I don't think Mufasa joins the $1 billion club or anything like that. But I mean, you want to talk about how remember we did a piece the other day. We looked at the stock price history, all that kind of stuff. How Bob Iger has turned the ship around for Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like his strategy about taking more. Because remember, the initial plans for Moana 2 were to take it, because this was a Bob Chapek thing, take it and dump it on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And one of the first things Bob Iger said was, no. Retool this. This is a movie. We're putting Moana 2 in theaters. And it looks like making $400 million before it's even been out in theaters for a week and still hasn't even opened in most countries across the world.
Sure.
It's pretty good decision, I think. Yeah. Not a bad decision. And so like again, Wicked is still going strong. I don't know what opens next week.
It opens next week. Let me
take a look at the release calendar, because I don't know what I'm going to guess nothing big opens next week, because I don't think anything wants to be in the runway of Gladiator, Wicked, and Moana 2.
I mean, it's films like The End, which I kind of want to see with Michael Shannon and Tilda Swinton. The End. But that's Werewolves with Frank Grillo.
Lord of the Rings is coming up.
By the way,
The Order. I want to see The Order with Jude Law and Nicholas Hoult.
I do want to see that. The studio sent me a screener of that Werewolves.
Oh, okay.
With
cool.
Frank Grillo. It's kind of it's an interesting sounding. I'd never watched it, but it's an interesting sounding concept. I think I'm kind of done. But yeah, nothing big.
Yeah, between The Order, Night Bitch will get it some traction, but still these are more like auteur films.
We got a complete
The
unknown.
End that.
No, that's not next week, is it?
December 25th.
Okay, yeah, but that's weeks away. We're talking about this coming.
Okay, this coming week.
But I mean, still coming this year. Kraven, Mufasa, Sonic 3, Complete Unknown.
Well, Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we still got some big things coming, but I mean, it looks like Moana, at least for this coming week, it still kind of has an open runway for itself.
And for the rest of the December, it's pretty much in a lane on its own, you know? Like, I mean, there's not really anything that
Mufasa.
Other than Mufasa.
I mean, but that's still...
That's another Disney thing.
Yeah, that's a different story, a different sort of thing. I mean, I think it's by itself. Like, people will go see Moana 2, regardless of what's coming out.
Yeah. Yeah, again...
Same with Wicked.
It's the same audience that they're trying to target for Mufasa. But I mean, and by the way, they did some very cute cross marketing with Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, did they?
In it as well, which was kind of creative. So
we're talking about Moana, or
Lilo and Stitch did some interesting cross promotion with Moana there. So interesting looking stuff. Huge success for them. Congratulations, and it's great to see the movie theaters. You know, when we went the other day to go, it's so great seeing the movie theaters so busy and so full, especially again after the way 2024 began with massive disappointing flops of good movies like Furiosa and Fall Guy. By the way, I'm still so frustrated that Furiosa and Fall Guy didn't do well. They're two really good movies.
I don't get it. But you know, I will say just one concluding thing is that this is no better time for Kraven, in my opinion, to open up than with all of this momentum and just encouragement of people like loving going to the theaters.
Yes.
So one good turn deserves another in a way, you know?
Yeah. Again, like Ray brought up, could have heard it with all this when it could be the opposite. I mean, Kraven could catch the momentum of people enjoying going to the movie theater.
Had Kraven released in like April, or it would have been
some.
That was a question I was about to ask you. It just came up. If Mad Max and Fall Guy actually came out right now, during would they have made more? Was it a move? Was it maybe the release? Maybe
you know what I think it is, and I'd have to think about this more. But you know, I was texting with somebody earlier today who kind of brought up that it's like, you know what, in the first part of the year, it's like for whatever reason people just weren't going to the movies this year, and again that started to change. We saw this, and they sent me a bunch of statistics. We saw that it's grown. I don't think it was a bad decision for them to put out Furiosa and Fall Guy when they did. But now that we know how the movie going patterns happened this year.
You're right.
Obviously, yeah, I think if Fall Guy and Furiosa were to come out December of this year, yeah, they would have done, I don't think they would have been massive blockbuster hits, but I think they would have done better than they did back in March.
Yeah.
Because of the counter programming and everything.
Yeah.
Everybody's going back. Yeah, it would. I
think
it
people
would've
were
been-
hoping the star power in Fall Guy was going to be like that spark to bring audiences back, but it took a little while. It ended up being Deadpool that
Yeah.
brought.
Well, and really, there were some big hits, like even before Deadpool. Again, Inside Out 2 did way better than
Oh, yeah.
anybody expected. There were a number of really good performances. But again, until you got past April,
Yeah.
it was a really slow start to the year, and now it's really turned things around. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Moana has shattered some long-standing box office records. It looks to be poised to do really well over the next few weeks. How well will it hold up? How big of a second weekend drop-off do you think it's going to do? I don't think it'll be as good of a second weekend drop-off as Wicked, which had under a 30% drop-off. But anyway, how good do you think it's going to do? Whatever you think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we are now going to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take another moment to thank a couple of other sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Aura Frames and Manscaped. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Aura. Let's be honest, what most people really want for the holidays is to see their favorite people more often. That's why this year, the best gift you can give, besides plane tickets, is an Aura digital picture frame. Named the #1 digital photo frame by Wirecutter, Aura frames are incredibly smart and easy to use, allowing you to upload unlimited photos and videos directly from your phone to the frame. Plus, you can order the frame online and preload it with photos and videos using the Aura app, so it's ready to go right out of the box. Ann and I have had ours for a while now, and we absolutely love it. Because you may not know, Ann and I like to take a lot of pictures, including a lot of our dogs, Ann's recent trip to Paris, and a whole bunch of other things. And we love having it right on display right there in our living room. So save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get 35% off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames by using promo code Campea at checkout. That's AURA frames.com, promo code Campea. This deal is exclusive to listeners, so get yours now in time for the holidays. Terms and conditions apply. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Manscaped. You know that fresh from the barbershop feeling? Now you can get it anytime with Manscaped's brand new Chairman Pro package. So let's talk about the main star here, the Chairman Pro electric foil shaver. This shaver comes with 2 skin-safe blade heads. There's the 4-blade foil for that clean, close shave, and a stubble trimmer if you're keeping a bit of that rugged look. Guys, this thing has Flex Adjust technology, so it adapts to the contours of your face and neck, giving you a smooth shave without the irritation. And yes, it's waterproof, so you can use it right in the shower, no mess. They've also included Power Shave Gel, which makes every shave glide smoothly and the face shave smoother to keep your skin calm, hydrated, and free from razor bumps. So if you're ready to upgrade your grooming game, head over to manscaped.com and use my code Campea to get 20% off plus free shipping. That's manscaped.com using the code Campea. Your face deserves this level of care. And thank you to our friends at Manscaped and Aura Frames for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on to the important stuff. Your thoughts, theories, opinions, and questions. Jonathan, what we got up first?
Andrew B says, "Hi, John. My family wants to see the Mufasa movie this holiday, and I thought, well, tickets have been on sale a week now. We probably can't see it opening weekend or a week. To my surprise, every theater I checked barely sold any tickets, and I live in New York City. It might flop." No,
but very few, like with very, very few exceptions, like with big, say, a big Marvel release or something like that, will like tickets weeks and weeks and weeks in advance like sell out. It's just not. Actually, I remember when Moana tickets first went on sale, like we looked and all the theaters looked empty.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't end up that way, but like I said, I don't think there's no way Mufasa becomes $1 billion film. It's just not. But it ain't going to be a flop either. It's going to make money. How much money? Who knows? But yeah, if you can look up tickets, I think even the only one that did, where I remember I looked at the tickets the week they went on sale really in advance, which was Wicked, but that was going to be a major event.
Well, that
Because again, Wicked has been such a worldwide popular stage play. There's so many people that were waiting for Wicked. You kind of, but even then, that like the prime screenings were like half full, right?
and then they packed out.
And then they packed out. So yeah, I don't ever think about that. Oh, I looked at the tickets for this 3 weeks before the movie comes out.
Yeah.
And
Honestly,
yeah, that's
People
very rare.
and especially because this is a holiday weekend, people were not looking beyond Thanksgiving. They just weren't. They were getting their Moana tickets, their Wicked tickets, whatever, Gladiator. They were not. In the next couple of weeks, that'll start filling out.
Yeah. So we'll see how big it'll be. All right, what's next?
Fanimator says, "Hi John. Right now, Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible are scheduled for Memorial Day weekend. Do you think Fantastic Four should move to November, Blade's old release date, and move Mission to late July to avoid competition? I've always thought Mission works best in July.
Nope. I think it's going to be just good where it is.
Not against Lilo. That's counter programming.
Yeah. So that's fine. I mean, again, Wicked and Gladiator showed it works fine. Barbenheimer showed it works fine. So you got two different movies that are going for different types of audiences on the same time even. But no, I don't think Mission needs to move. I think it's going to do just fine where it is. And
by all means, go ahead and take the Blade spot. Blade's not,
Go ahead,
Blade's
take
not
the
taking
spot.
that spot, so it doesn't
Blade
matter.
ain't using it.
Yeah.
He ain't
And
using it for a while.
Fantastic Four, you want that. Marvel wants that coming off the heat of Comic-Con. So that's going to stay right in July.
All right, what's next?
ScarJo Today Show says ScarJo was on the Today Show on November 26th and talked about her directorial debut, Eleanor the Great. I love when actors direct. Some of my favorite directorial debuts are Ben Affleck's Gone Baby Gone, Michael B. Jordan's Creed 3, and Jordan Peele's Get Out.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it often doesn't work. And sometimes it really does. I mean, again, actors are uniquely positioned to try taking over the director's share because like there's nobody they work more closely with than their directors, right? And they spend years working with directors. In the case of somebody like Scarlett Johansson, she's worked with some of the great directors. And to then want to transition and become the person actually doing the directing, I think it's great for them to take a shot. It doesn't necessarily mean it'll work. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. In the case of Ben Affleck, yeah, I remember when he directed, was Gone Baby Gone the first one?
I guess so. I thought it was The Town,
Yeah, did
but
The Town come out before that?
but I think I'm going to look up.
No,
I think
Gone Baby Gone came out
the
before
year
The
before.
Town, right?
No, I thought it came out after.
No, it's 2007, and The Town was 2010.
Okay.
So,
The one where his younger brother was the star of the film.
yep.
I mean, that was one of the more impressive actor to director transitions, directorial debuts. Of course, Clint Eastwood might go down as the greatest ever, who was first primarily a movie star for a long time, then transitioned to being a director. I think Clint Eastwood will go down as the GOAT in that category. Anna Kendrick just recently did her directorial debut, which did a really good job. So yeah, sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes you get a GOAT like Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, the
yeah.
GOAT that ruins my night.
Somebody just brought up too. Joseph B. Kevin Costner. Was Dances with Wolves his first directed movie? If it is, that's great because he actually won the Academy Award for Best Director.
I have to. Yeah, maybe Ray can fact check that.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Noam says Wicked was incredible. The performances and songs
Yeah.
It was?
Yeah.
Wow. Songs are incredible, especially the final minutes. Part 2 is probably in my top 3 anticipated movies for 25, and I'm saying that as someone who didn't care for Wicked before. Only Dune 2 is better this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, again, that's the mark, I think, of a really good movie is when the people you didn't even make the movie for, and I am not the target audience for Wicked whatsoever. I was floored by it. I don't know that I'll say that I think it's in the top 3 or top 4 best films of the year, but it's definitely going to get nominated for Best Picture. I mean, no doubt in my mind. I was thoroughly impressed with that film. Again, as somebody who's never seen Wicked, doesn't care about it whatsoever, not really a big fan of Ariana Grande, and I was blown away. And that's a real testament to it when it's not even your target audience is saying that they love it. All right, what's next?
Amin says exactly 10 years ago, the first teaser trailer for The Force Awakens dropped. I remember exactly where I was. The hype was crazy. It was one of the most crucial first trailers ever. Now we're about a month away from another pivotal first trailer, Superman.
I guess so. I mean, obviously sent this in a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would call it one of the most pivotal first trailers ever. Now, the single most important, industry-changing, pivotal trailers of all time was actually The Force Awakens. Not The Force Awakens, sorry, The Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
That literally changed the way everybody even looked at trailers.
Even consume them. Yeah.
And even consumed them. You know, we did a whole section on just that trailer in our movie trailers, A Love Story. Go and find it on Amazon today. That was really that. But yeah, it was a big deal. It was a big deal when that first trailer came out. And it's crazy that was 10 years ago. That's insane.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Jai says, while Shogun is my favorite show of the year, episode 8 of Shrinking season 2 might be my favorite TV episode of 24 for a multitude of reasons. The humor, emotional gut punches, the music, but chief among them, I now have a GIF of Harrison Ford dropping a mic.
Oh my God. Was that episode 8? Yeah, that was episode 8. That's right. It was so good. I'll talk every day. Like for whatever is remaining of my career, I will happily talk every day about Shrinking. And that mic drop scene with Harrison Ford, don't you do it. Don't you drop that mic, Harrison Ford. It's like one of the best scenes. Guys, if you're not watching Shrinking, you need to make different life decisions. It's such a good show. And again, I keep saying this, it is the best Harrison Ford has been in well over a decade. Well over a decade. You got to be watching Shrinking. It's incredible. And by the way, it's an easy one to get caught up on. The episodes, it's a short sitcom almost kind of feel time-wise. Like the episodes are between 30 and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
They're only on season 2. You can get caught up in a good solid night. Get home from work, sit down till about midnight, just go through them, like have dinner ordered in. You can get through the entire thing and get caught up in like a night. Guys, start watching Shrinking. It's insanely good. All right, what's next?
Kimatan says, Denis Villeneuve says, saying the Return of the Jedi killed Star Wars for him, which makes him an OG Star Wars fan hater. No, there was actually a lot of people. I never realized that, but there was a lot of people in that generation that did not like Return. I'm not one of them. Which makes him needs to make us ready for the day when an established director will say they didn't like The Last Jedi. I don't think we have to wait long for that. The Last Jedi.
Everybody doesn't like it. Anyway, that being said, listen. There are a lot of people, even in the core hardcore Star Wars fan groups, that didn't love Return of the Jedi. That's fine. Everybody's allowed to be wrong. To me, Return of the Jedi is easily the best Star Wars movie. I know the popular answer is Empire Strikes Back, and I'm certainly not going to argue with that. A lot of people think the original New Hope, and I ain't going to argue with that. But to me, Return of the Jedi was the best of the original trilogy.
Yeah. It's nowhere near like The Rise of Skywalker. Like, it's so good. I think it is the best installment of the best trilogy of all time. Like, to me, it's 1A and 1B. That's the original. Like, when people talk to me about your favorite movie, I just say Star Wars. They're like, which one? To me, it's just the original trilogy. When I just say Star Wars, that to me is the original trilogy. But like the Return of the Jedi, first of all, I think the greatest sequence in movie history with the throne room scene, the Emperor's throne room scene with Luke and Vader, and that entire sequence is like one of my favorite sequences, maybe my favorite movie sequence of all time. The space battle scene to this day is the greatest space battle scene ever made. In Return of the Jedi, the attack over Endor, that to me is still easily like choreography, if you want to use that term, the cinematography of everything, the tension, it's still the best. And the thing's like 30 plus years old. It's still the best one ever. The whole idea that George Lucas had of the juxtaposition of like even the Ewoks, which again, like, fuck you, I love the Ewoks, which is the name of one of my videos. Should be a shirt.
It's the name of one of my most popular videos that I've ever made, actually. The Ewoks are fabulous. I don't care what anybody says. And George Lucas's whole principle of it, of juxtaposing the natural world represented by the Ewoks versus the industrialized world represented by the Empire. And I just, again, to me, it's the best. I'm not going to argue anybody who thinks Empire is the best, because I can't argue against that. Empire is brilliant. or people who think the original one is the best, I ain't gonna argue against that. But Jedi to me will always be the best Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
There you go. DJ says, Jonathan, what did you think of Juror number 2? Did you love it as much as I did? It's been a while since we had a drama like that. That's true. I ended up seeing it last week, and I really liked it. I mean, I think that we were just talking about Clint Eastwood. I think he did a great job at this. They literally plucked lines from 12 Angry Men more than once, more than twice, which I actually kind of liked. I think it was an homage to 12 Angry Men, and it was a little different than what I was expecting from the movie. I think that I can't think of his name now. Holt did a great job at portraying someone who was stuck in a moral conundrum. And I think the way the film ended, it was very Clint Eastwood. Yeah, I liked it.
And by the way, I want to remind everybody, Clint Eastwood is 94 years old.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
He's 94 years old. And it's conceivable. I don't think he's going to get the nomination, but I think his name is going to be in the conversation about guys getting nominated for Best Director this year. I don't think he'll end up with one of the nominations, but I think his name's going to be at least discussed.
Mm-hmm.
And he's 94 years old. Crazy. Clint Eastwood, ladies and gentlemen. All right, what's next?
We got UK Sindependent says, hi crew. John, have you seen that you're going to have to wait until Valentine's Day for Paddington? Can you contain yourself that long? Yeah, I got moved.
Yeah, I almost did a story about that last week.
Like
but
by
we
a month, right?
Ran out of time. They moved it to the Valentine's weekend. It's fine. I've been waiting a long time for the next Paddington. I passionately love the first two Paddington movies. They're just wonderful, 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 wonderful films. And I can't wait to see the third one, but we'll have to wait a little while longer. Still not that far away, though.
Nah.
All right, what's next?
Kyle, the two-parter, says there has been 9 MCU movies post Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and 2 Disney Plus specials, mini movies, and 8 live-action MCU series since. 19 projects without Shang-Chi showing up or even being mentioned once. At least Yelena showed up in an episode of Hawkeye, although that was in December of 21, and she's back in Thunderbolts, May of 2025. By the time we see Shang-Chi again, it may have been 26 MCU projects in between his first and second appearance. Shocking.
Yeah, this is one of the problems when your cinematic universe starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's one of the problems, because I don't want Marvel to make 7 movies a year, right? I mean, we've seen what happens when they start to make too many projects at one time, right? Their quality level drops. And now you're bringing in all the universe of X-Men characters are coming, and they keep expanding their base. And then there are people like, and we want Spider-Man, all the Spider-Man stuff to go over there too. Yeah, great. If you want one Spider-Man thing every 17 years. It's one of the problems. Shang-Chi is the best movie Marvel has made since Endgame. I think it's better than No Way Home. I love No Way Home, but I think Shang-Chi is the best movie Marvel's made since Endgame. Not the only good one, but it's the best one they've made. And it sucks that we're still sitting here waiting for another one. Now, we know it's coming because, I mean, they are keeping Destin, like the director, they're keeping him under lock. And they were even going to have him do one of the Avenger movies until they changed the direction of it. And then he went back over to work. So that's coming. Simu Liu, who plays Shang-Chi, keeps saying, guys, it's coming. And it's coming sooner than you think. But I don't know, Simu. I can think pretty soon. And it hasn't come yet. So yes, it's one of the big drawbacks of having a cinematic universe that's so big is that you only have so many movies you can make a year. Yet you have 5,000 characters. And I really want to see Shang-Chi back on the screen soon. Anyway. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, take it with a big grain of salt, but your assessment of the Superman story on Thursday was pretty accurate. But Safran is more involved with DC Studios and Superman than the public realizes.
I don't know about that. I think James Gunn and Peter Safran, they laid it out pretty well in the interview that they did shortly after taking the positions. Like, remember, James Gunn kind of was soft offered the gig earlier, and he told people, like, I'm not going to take a head of the studio position. But then when it came along and said, a guy he's worked with many times, Peter Safran, James will kind of control the creative aspect of it. Peter was more of the producer. and he'll understand the business aspect of it more. So I don't think Peter, like on a behind the scenes building blocks business point of view, of course he's going to be seriously involved with Superman. He's the co-head of the studio. But is he involved creatively in it? I don't think he's that creatively involved in it. And that's fine. That's James's role, and he's got his role. So that's fine. All right, what's next?
Dildar says, if none of you guys are using Tubi, you really should. There's a lot of good stuff on there. My favorite to watch are so far Farscape, Babylon 5, and the big selection of tokusatsu. They basically have every Ultraman series on there. So Ray will love that.
Yeah. Ultraman.
Okay, don't get me wrong. I liked Babylon 5, so don't get me wrong. But I haven't found myself lately jonesing about, you know what I really feel like watching today? Farscaped. Again, no insult to Farscaped. I'm just saying. Or like Babylon 5 is still a wonderful story, but like visually it's very dated. So anyway, this comes about because the other day, guys, somebody was writing in about Tubi, and I mentioned, you know what? I'm not saying anything negative about Tubi because I've never actually watched Tubi. I've never loaded it up. I've never turned it on. So I have no point of reference when talking about Tubi. But I've been getting some people emailing me saying, hey, John, you know, it's got this and this and this. It's like, well, that's actually including Babylon 5, Farscape. It's got a pretty impressive lineup of content. Yeah. But yeah, I've never actually checked it out.
It's funny. Every now and then I'll feel like watching an older movie, and the only place that will be playing it is Tubi.
So you've watched Tubi?
I mean, I've downloaded the app, and then I think I watched some Street Fighter animated films on there before. It's always that obscure movie that I feel like watching. I'll look up to see which streaming services are showing it, and it's usually Tubi. So I don't know. You
know, there's another one that kind of like it, like Pluto TV. I use Pluto a lot. I love their different channels and networks. I'll often use it to watch because they have completely dedicated poker channels, so I'll watch that a lot. And combat sports channels and like
Unsolved Mysteries,
80s comedy networks. And yeah, they've got some really good stuff on there. So anyway, all right, what's next?
Little Wonder says, a couple years back, I went to see Elvis on a whim because you guys mentioned it and Austin's incredible performance on the show. Well, that film set me down a rabbit hole and completely changed my life. I've since been to Graceland twice.
Wow.
Found an incredible new fan community and made a really great friend. Just wanted to extend my thanks to you guys for instigating a new and unexpected chapter in my life. The power of art is really something.
Listen, cool. I'll tell you what, there is a reason why there is an entire sub-industry of just Elvis impersonators. Because no matter how many years pass, even though Elvis was before my time, do not underestimate the power of Elvis.
Yeah.
Like there is a massive and very ravenous, dedicated Elvis fan base that to this day, like his impact on pop culture remains to this day. So yeah, I'm glad we turned you on to that. All right. What's next?
Your Name says, while vacationing in Asia, only non-news English-speaking channels showed reruns of North and South, Book 2. Well, at least that's the best book of the three. Airwolf and Bionic
Oh my God,
Woman. Oh, that's a double. And then many television actors and actresses from the 80s appeared in Book 1 and Book 2 of North and South. Is something different about television today as to lack of similar all-star miniseries? They're streaming. They're all on streaming shows. There's not a lot of big network like miniseries anymore because it's all on streaming.
Well, remember, and they don't call them miniseries anymore. Now they call them limited series. Yeah. So, for instance, Shogun was supposed to be a limited series, but the massive success and popularity made them change that. But a lot of stuff is called limited series. Agatha, as of right now, is labeled a limited series. So yeah, I mean, it used to be back in the day of television networks and cable, that every once in a while a network would do a miniseries.
That was Shogun.
That's what Shogun was back in the 80s.
Man, I love Lonesome Dove. And North and South.
So there've been a ton of great miniseries of the year, but yeah, now it's more trendy to call them limited series. But even then, you know what? Here's the thing. I don't think there's any such thing as a limited series. I think all of them get made as a limited series, but really when they make them and put them out, they're waiting to see if it's successful enough just to turn it into a regular series. But we'll see what happens with that. All right, what's next?
Your name says between Airwolf and Blue Thunder, which had the better attack copter? Oh, and theme song. Well, I'm going Airwolf on both.
Airwolf on both.
Because
here's the interesting thing about Blue Thunder. Blue Thunder, like when the original movie came out with
Roy
Scheider. When that movie came out, I remember they made a point that says everything in the movie is technology that even theoretically exists today. And that was back when that movie came out.
Yeah.
And so that, like, Airwolf, not so much. I still liked Airwolf more, but the Blue Thunder movie was really quite good.
Mhm.
But as far as opening theme goes, I'd say Airwolf is a top 5 of all time.
Yeah.
I take Airwolf over Knight Rider.
I think I agree.
Yep.
Like the Airwolf theme is seriously, I think, a top 5 best opening theme.
The only one that's
music
like
ever.
number one to me is still Magnum PI.
That is great.
Yeah.
That thing comes in hard, man.
I wouldn't have it at number 1, but it is great.
No.
Dun, 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 dun.
But doesn't Blue Thunder sound like a toilet bowl cleaner?
Do 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 do
I'm
do
just
do
saying.
do.
I'm not quite sure what a toilet bowl cleaner
Because it's
sounds
blue
like.
in
Because it's
color.
blue.
Oh, it does sound like it. Yeah, you're right.
With my bottle of Blue Thunder.
All right, what's
The
next?
thunder comes first with you, Ray. Your name says, rewatching a few episodes, adult me realizes why prepubescent me preferred the Bionic Woman over the $6 million man. That's going back, though.
You know what? It was around the AMC days that I was still working at AMC that I went back because I remember fondly being a kid and watching reruns of like Bionic Man and
They're pretty rough, man.
like $6 Million Man and everything, which $6 Million Man, I mean, that's basically a toe implant today. But I rewatched some because I had such fond memories. They're pretty rough. They don't hold up well. They don't hold up well at all. So anyway, there's that. All right, what's next?
Yeah. Spider says, hey crew, I'm dating an amazing girl who's everything I want. Pretty smart. We have great chemistry, but she hates movies, says they bore her, and hasn't even seen the basics like Lion King, Disney stuff, Star Wars. As a huge movie fan, what would you do in my situation?
Oof.
Keep dating her. Who cares? Everyone has different likes.
Yeah, I mean,
If you guys are clicking, one day maybe she'll come to appreciate some films that you like.
like it would be difficult, like for me personally, but I'm in a unique situation where like movies are literally like the centerpiece of. They're the thing I'm kind of passionate about as a fan, but it's also my profession and it's all that kind of stuff.
Right.
It would be very difficult for me personally to be with somebody that wasn't really into movies like Anne is.
But then you
But
also
that's my personal and my work life. It's all movies. Like my work life kind of revolves around.
you
movies, so
wouldn't
it's
feel
different.
the chemistry was there between you and Anne because there would be a disconnect. But with
Yeah.
him, he's saying there's great chemistry, so I don't care, man. Don't lose a
Yeah.
good thing.
And wouldn't that be a great sign that she actually is into you, that she does start going to the movies?
She appreciates you for your likes
Yeah.
either way, so apparently so.
But like let's take something else. Let's say we're passionate about mixed martial arts, right? Well, I'm sure a lot of mixed martial artists date people who are not mixed martial artists or
Right.
aren't like it's so it's perfectly fine. Like unless you are truly a hardcore, your kind of life revolves around movies and stuff like that. That would be a little bit challenging, but I think 99% of people aren't in that category.
Yeah.
So I think you're good.
My
And
wife
movies don't hit you in the
I can
face.
tell you from personal experience, my wife is not a big movie person, and we're perfectly happy.
Yeah.
So,
All right. What's next?
Twilight Boy.
Twilight Boy.
Terrifier 3 is wrapping up its run with $88 million on a $2 million budget. Unreal. That's insane.
Oh yeah,
profit.
no, that's insanely great.
And their marketing was nil.
Oh, what film are we talking about?
Terrifier 3.
Okay.
Yeah, I do need people to keep things in mind. Making 88 million means not many people saw it, but it is a great financial success. It's just, I remember like when we had this conversation about Godzilla -1, which I loved, but I remember people, this is a smash hit. Well, I mean, it made a lot of money compared to its budget. Yes, it was very profitable, but let's not confuse that with everybody saw it. Well, no, it actually means not many people saw it, all things considered. But I mean, from a financial point of view, Terrifier 3 is going to become a chapter or at least a course in film school someday about, hey, listen, you want to be really successful. You don't have to make a movie that everybody goes to see. You can make a movie for $2 million and make $50 million or whatever. And it be like, from a financial point of view, an incredible success.
Yeah.
This is one of the poster children of that entire idea. And it's done incredibly. I still haven't seen it. Don't care about it. But I mean, are you kidding me? A $2 million budget making $88 million.
It's up there with Blair Witch.
That's incredible. That's amazing. Good for them. All right. What's next?
And stuff like that says, meaningless gripe time. I wish the MJ biopic was called Man in the Mirror so that it matches most musician biopics by being titled after one of their biggest hits, like Rocket Man, Bohemian Rhapsody, One Love, Get On Up. I love Get On Up. Respect, Walk the Line, Walk Hard. Walk Hard was not a, etc. You get it.
You know what?
What is it called?
It's just called Michael.
I think that's fine.
I think it's great.
It's just like Elvis.
Yep. I think
and
it's
those
great.
two are they're on peaks of their own.
Because honestly, Man in the Mirror, which is a great song, by the way, it could be a movie about anything. Man in the Mirror could be a title of a movie of
Phantom
just about
of the
anything.
Opera.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those rare situations where the name is far more iconic than any of the song titles that he's done, right?
I think Michaels just sums it up.
Like Great Balls of Fire, that's a bigger name than the name of the artist. So that makes sense to call something that. But I think just Michael is all you need to do. I think it's probably the right decision to do that one. All right, what's next?
We got, let's see. Okay, Rushmore says, after Megalopolis, what do you think Francis Ford Coppola will do next? Will he retire? Will he try to make another film?
He's going to retire. He might still produce.
Yeah.
He can do that. But listen, when you put as much into this one project as he did, I mean, he literally spent his own money to make the movie. And for it to fail so spectacularly. Because what was the final budget? Ray, can you look up the final budget of Megalopolis? So let's see. Because the movie itself, I don't know I can't remember off the top of my head how much it cost to make, but it was
seeing 120.
So $120 million. So not the most expensive movie ever.
Excuse me.
So it costs $120 million, figure about $40 million to market it. Here's how much it made worldwide.
Boom, baby.
$13 million.
That barely covers craft services.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that covered just the Uber cost to bring Adam Driver to set every day.
Yeah.
I mean, it is really one of the most spectacular box office failures in history.
Dang.
And I don't say that as a good thing. I don't say that with any happiness at all. It just is what it is. And it's one thing to be a director and to have a movie flop that badly. It's another thing when in all ways it's your movie. You paid for it, you financed it, you put up your own personal fortune for it, all that kind of stuff. And for it to just do what it did, I don't know how you come back from that. So could he do stuff behind the scenes as a producer, stuff like that? He's clearly still passionate about films, and he's one of the greatest of all time. But I don't see him directing another movie. I'd love it if he did. I hope he does, but I don't think he will. Even though I really, really desperately hope that he does, because I would hate to see the great, and I mean great, one of the greatest ever to end his career on this.
Right.
I would love to see him follow up on this. I really would, but I just don't think he will. I think you know what? Whatever. I'm done. All right. What's next?
Suthius says, was watching Michael Jackson's Liberian Girl music video and never realized how many familiar faces there are. Carl Weathers, Whoopi, Dan Aykroyd, Weird Al, Spielberg, Danny Glover, Travolta, and Olivia Newton. Bridget Nielsen, Lou Diamond, and Billy D, and others. Wow.
I don't even know the music video we're talking about.
Liberian Girl.
Liberian Girl.
Liberian Girl. Sure.
I've never heard of it.
I'd have to look into that.
Of Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
I remember the song.
I don't remember the song at all.
It was my. It was
Maybe
my
I know
least-
the song, but I don't know the title of the song.
Yeah, it's my least favorite.
Oh,
I want to see the video for that now, though.
You know what my favorite Michael Jackson music video is?
Huh?
Black or White.
Really?
Yeah,
that
I
was
love that
very
video.
controversial. The
I
end.
Love it because it at the time, even just the visual effect you used,
The
of
morphing?
morphing the people,
That was great.
like today.
That's nothing.
That's nothing.
But
But at
people-
the time,
it
I'd
blew
never
people's
seen
minds.
anything like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, you had whenever they would perform it live, Slash from Guns N' Roses would always be out there playing it. It'd always be so funny seeing Michael Jackson on stage and behind him is Slash.
Macaulay
it's like,
Culkin was in that video too.
oh, I love that music video. I really do. And I love the song.
Right.
Anyway, all right, what's next?
Dr. Stinky in Peru says trying to recreate Barbenheimer is just not working. It feels forced. But Captain America 4 and Paddington 3 come out the same day in the U.S. Doomblazer calls this Captain Peru a brave new bear. I actually really love that.
I don't. Okay, first of all, just time out. Nobody was trying to recreate
No,
Barbenheimer.
no.
Oh no, but I think it just when they were coming up with the names for
Yeah,
it.
but I don't think anybody was trying to recreate Barbenheimer.
It's just counter programming.
Yeah, but what did they eventually call it? Glicked?
Glicked.
Like Glicked?
Yeah,
I
that
hated
was
that
stupid.
name. That was bad.
That sounds so disgusting. Whatever.
It sounds like a condition.
It might need some Blue Thunder.
It might need some thunder.
Sounds like an energy drink.
Yeah, it is what it is. But wait, is Captain America coming out on the Thanksgiving or the?
Wait,
Well,
didn't you guys
because
say
it
they forwarded?
moved, so now I'd have to look up the.
Well,
on the
when did
calendar.
Captain America supposed to come out? I got the hiccups
I think
now.
I think maybe February. So maybe so. I'm gonna look it up.
But when
2025.
in February?
Yeah.
That's what like.
So February 14th is. Yeah, it's the same.
It is.
February 14th.
So they're coming out the same weekend
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Well, I know I'm doing a double feature.
Dang, which one do I watch first?
By the way, you know, Ann and I are seeing we're seeing Sonic 3 and Mufasa on the same day.
Oh yeah.
Because we got an early fan
Mufasa.
screening
Huh.
of one and we're gonna see that on the same opening day as I know. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to that. But it looks like I'll have to do a double feature to see Paddington and Captain America on the same day. All right, what's next?
All right, we got Brandon who says, you were right to get off Twitter. I didn't love Moana 2 either. Still enjoyed it. But some of the reactions on social media to its huge success are the most elite BS I've ever seen. Total disconnect from reality. Twitter is just a cesspool now.
Oh yeah, like I mean, listen, it's everybody told me it was crazy because like I tiny compared to some people. Yeah, I had over 100,000 followers on Twitter. But it just became such a dark, depressing cesspool that I just didn't want to be on it anymore. And I decided to cut back on my Twitter use. And then I just eventually stopped. And I think I turned off. I think I deleted my Twitter maybe a year ago. Maybe it was only like 7 months ago, but it feels to me like it was over a year ago. Listen, I'll be honest with you. I'm not super active on any social media. I'm probably most active on Instagram. That's probably where I'm most active. I do still enjoy Instagram. There's another. What's the newest one that just came out? Like Blue something?
Blue Sky.
Social media.
Blue Sky, right? By the way, public service announcement. Ann said to me, you should at least open Blue Sky and try it. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do it. There's an imposter of me on Blue Sky
Nice.
that already took my username.
Oh wow.
And they actually have like my picture up.
Oh, no.
So just for future reference, guys, if any of you go to Blue Sky and you see me, that's not me. So there's somebody on there who's doing identity theft, but it's not me on Blue Sky, just so you know. But yes, I am very, very happy that I got off Twitter when I did, however long ago, a year ago, whatever it was. But it's just such a dark, the devil's anus kind of place now. It's just, it just became too much. All right, what's next?
Nick Schmidt says, all right, John, you win. You've been saying to watch Shrinking, and I finally started it and love it. Great show. Want to remind you that Creature Commandos drops this Thursday. and is sitting at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Hope
Wow.
you'll check it out.
Yeah, listen,
Definitely checking it out.
As far as Creature Commando goes, look, I'd be lying if I said I was excited about it. I'm not, but I'm absolutely going to check it out. I mean, it's James Gunn. James Gunn has never steered me wrong. But again, just because I'm a huge James Gunn fan doesn't mean I'm going to pretend that I'm excited about everything that's coming out. I'm not excited about Creature Commandos. The trailers haven't done it for me. I'm not saying it's not going to be good. I'm just saying I don't have any excitement for it. But there's lots of things that I haven't been excited for. And then when I see them, oh, this is great. And I hope that's the case with Creature Commandos. I'm definitely going to check it out, and I'll let you guys know what I think about it. All right, what's next?
Joshua, the two-parter, says, hi, John and crew. After watching Agatha all along, we decided to rewatch WandaVision. We loved it even more the second time. My favorite MCU series. The Making of WandaVision doc came up afterwards. It really made me appreciate the show even more. The production for WandaVision is an amazing story in itself. They use period lighting, effects, and live audience. The set design and music for the different periods were amazing. I definitely recommend watching The Making of WandaVision. Those first 2 episodes are my favorite because they really did get that bewitched and
Oh, they captured it.
there is a difference between episode 1, which is more 50s, and episode 2, which is more 60s.
Well, I mean, and every
And
episode
it's-
after that,
and it's
went
wonderful,
through,
yeah.
They kept going through time,
But I don't think
time periods. Right?
I think a lot of people look at those first 2 episodes and they're like, "Oh, it's like the same," but it's not. There are nuances.
No, completely different.
Yeah.
And like to this day, I don't think anything comes close. WandaVision, at least on the Marvel side, is easily the best thing they've put out. Like, and on the Star Wars side, it's obviously Andor, but I mean, on the Marvel side, like nothing else even comes remotely close to the pure creativity, the great character development, the awesome story. WandaVision is just leagues above everything else. Unfortunately, Marvel's never been able to live back up to that, but yeah, it is truly phenomenal what they did with that show. Absolutely incredible. And by the way, the guy who did that, he's directing Fantastic Four. So that's a good reason to be excited.
Yep.
Anyway, all right, what's next?
C. Fletch says, "Hey, John, sending you positive vibes from Toronto. Have you seen the Day of the Jackal series with Eddie Redmayne? It's absolutely incredible. Edge of your seat. Would love to know your thoughts on it.
No,
it's on my
haven't-
watch list.
Have not had a chance to start watching it yet, but it's absolutely on my list because I love Eddie Redmayne. Lashana, she was just in the James Bond movie. What's her name? I'm forgetting. I'm freezing on her name. Anyway, so yeah, I'm very excited about the series. I do want to watch
Lashana
Lynch. Okay, I just haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I am definitely going to get on board with it here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and it's part of a IP that's been around for a long time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
Sam Fisher says, "You tell me 80s Amblin set in Star Wars Galaxy, and I'm there. A Star Wars movie directed by Spielberg feels like the movie that never was, but should have been."
Listen, my number one movie wet dream for my entire life has been a Star Wars movie directed by Steven Spielberg. I'll settle for a Star Wars project that feels like it was directed by Steven Spielberg. And by the way, have some of the best directors today working on it. So I've been excited for several Star Wars shows that end up disappointing me. Hopefully this will be one that lives up to my hype. All right, what's next?
All right, on to our member questions here. Henry says, "Hey, John, I plan on seeing a double feature on Christmas Day. I'm going to see both A Complete Unknown and Nosferatu."
Nice.
I would love to do it. I just don't know if I have the block in my day to do it, but gonna be a fun Christmas with a packed theater. By the way, Ridley Scott just confirmed Gladiator 3. Looks like we're getting a Gladiator trilogy.
That's fine for Ridley Scott to say that. Right now, unless I'm mistaken, Gladiator 2 hasn't broken even yet.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So it's great for Ridley Scott to say he's going to do that.
I actually heard that Francis Ford Coppola is bankrolling it, though. So it should be pretty great.
Selling off the rest of his winery.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, after seeing 2, I don't know that I'd be all that thrilled to see a part 3.
No, but
yeah.
Follow me. The grandson now.
The grandson.
He gets caught in a plot, and he's sold into slavery. But
Oh, wait a minute.
he gets out of slavery and he works with a gladiator like overseer, and he builds up his reputation.
I'm smelling what you're cooking.
Now, this is where the plot twist happens. They think they're going to escape Rome, but they don't.
Oh,
they
no.
freaking get caught, and then
Their
they have
escape plan gets found
battle
out?
to the death at the end. I won't tell you the ending.
Oh, my God.
May elevator pitch.
You know what? Maybe, do you remember what the original story of Gladiator 2 was going to be? Do you guys remember?
Yes. He comes back.
Maximus was going to be sent back to life by the gods.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That was the original story idea. When they originally started playing Gladiator 2, the idea was Maximus gets sent back.
And now I'm kind
by
of
the
wishing
gods.
they did it.
Maybe that's going to
No,
be
they're
Gladiator 3.
Yeah, they're saving
And
it
you're
for
going to have
three.
father and son. You're going to have Maximus and Dildoius, whatever the name of Paul Mescal's character
Biggest
was.
dickus.
What was his name?
Dolius?
Lucius.
Lucius.
Lucius was his name.
The deal with the Dolius.
I prefer Dildodius. So yeah, they father and son fighting side by side,
Yeah.
like Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker.
right.
All right, what's
All right.
next?
King Daddy Goat says.
Tiki Takius.
Yeah. King Daddy Goat says, hope the cruise 4-day weekend was awesome. I've been binging Teacup on Peacock, and I don't think anyone's mentioned it so far on the show. So far, I'm really enjoying it and hoping to put this on everyone's radar. Thanks for what you guys do. I've seen the trailers for it. It looks creepy.
For what,
I've
Peacock?
heard everybody say it's really good. I don't know anything about it.
Me either.
I'm just
other
aware.
than-
I know there's this thing Teacup, but I don't know anything. I don't even think I've seen the trailer, to be honest with you. So I'll have to check, but I'm getting more and more people writing in about it saying it's really good. So I'll have to check it out. King Daddy Goat is saying it's really good. So, all right, what's next?
Espinoza says, what up, gang? Me and my dad went to see Red 1 on Wednesday, and we both enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It currently has a 90% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's been certified hot. I think Red 1 could be the next holiday cult favorite, not classic, and will be shown on TV every Christmas season. Don't threaten us. And John, just because you're wearing the USC sweater, Rudy.
I don't think any of that is true about Red One. I've just talked to too many people who saw it and thought it was just complete garbage.
Level
We've also had
4
people write in.
naughty
We've had people
lister?
writing in over the last week or so saying, hey, John, I saw Red One and kind of liked it. So that's good. That's good. But I've also spoken to a lot of people who said, oh my God, Red One is so bad.
90% hot. Wow.
And that's great. Good. I mean, that's more than good. That's wonderful.
Heck yeah, they should make 3 of them.
Better
Right.
than bad, it's good.
Might as well.
Okay, but what if they come across a level 5 naughty lister?
And then he's
There's
imprisoned.
now you've got a sequel idea.
And he tries to escape, but he gets caught.
Yeah, it gets
But I
caught.
didn't think you could have a level 5 naughty lister, but there is one.
So he's gonna be made a warrior to fight for his freedom.
Yeah.
It's gonna be Kraven.
Yeah.
Kraven.
Craviator.
All right.
All right.
Last question of the day. What's next?
Okay. Sir Turks says, longtime follower, first time member. Welcome. I'm a good Canadian kid from up north too. Thanks for putting me onto Severance. Can't wait for season 2 in
Yeah.
January. Are you and the team ready? I am so ready.
I'm
For
ready
Severance
to get
season
mine
2.
effed.
Listen, I'll tell you what. I don't think Severance is one of the greatest shows of all time, but I loved it. But the ending of season 1
Oh man.
was one of the best season endings I've ever seen. There's, my wife is alive. Boom. And that's it. That was such a great ending. The whole, I'll be honest with you. I almost tapped out of Severance after 1 episode.
It was slow, but it grew.
It was slow, and I watched the first episode. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I didn't hate it, but I don't know. And Ann was like, let's give it 1 more episode.
Yeah.
So glad we did, because
man.
then it really starts picking up.
Yep.
It's you know what? It's the epitome of an Apple series.
Yeah.
It's the epitome of an
And
Apple
I
TV
love
Plus series.
John Turturro in that. Oh,
Turturro's
man.
so good in it.
Water cooler talk every time an
Yeah.
episode.
Oh, so good. So good.
Can't wait for
Anyway.
that.
And guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number 1, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number 2, you supported our channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. Hey guys, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Click the thumbs up button because it's good for the algorithm and maybe a little bit for my self-worth. And make sure you come back and join us again tomorrow. I want to thank Ray Ora,
Hey, see you guys.
Jonathan Voico.
See you tomorrow.
My name's John Campea. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.